Good morning, everybody. It has been quite a while since I have gone live here on my page because about this time of year, sometimes in Ohio, I get some allergy stuff going on. I kind of lost my voice. It's still a little hoarse. I'm drinking my tea, and I don't usually drink my tea out of my coffee cup. So I'm using my green, which this is not my color that I use very often, but
The
that's our
green looks
teacups that we
the
have.
green looks great with your beautiful hairdo. I love it.
Oh, yeah, up here, yeah, hadn't thought about it that way. So, I have tried to drink coffee the past few days, and since my sinuses and all that, I haven't really. It hasn't tasted good. I don't know. I kind of go through these little things where my taste buds change, and coffee just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't taste as good. So I'm having some apple cinnamon tea. So
Oh,
that's what I'm having.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm having my French vanilla coffee in our coffee mug. So
Now
cheers
is
to all of
is
you.
the coffee actually French vanilla or is it the creamer?
The creamer.
Okay. Okay.
Hello,
Oh,
Connie. Hello,
oh yeah. I
Tamra.
see both. I was just gonna share this over into C Bob. Oh, yep. There's Tamara popping on too. So let me go ahead and do that from my phone. And why don't you go ahead and introduce the topic that we're going to talk about a little bit today, Amy?
Sorry, I was taking a drink of my water. Got to
Good.
have that on hand as well.
Yes, I have both.
So today our topic is business etiquette. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat so we can answer your questions to the best of our ability. And we will just basically talk about things that we have found and, with our own experience in business. What things we have found that come up might have been a little bit of a stumbling block or a learning curve or something like that, and we'll just kind of take it from there. And I do want to let everyone know Jamie's very busy and she has something to do today. So this chat is not going to be super long. We'll probably be on here for another, what, Jamie, 20 to 30 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do it until about 10. I'm attending a 3-day virtual conference with one of my mentors that was able to come live to my retreat last spring. And day 1 was yesterday. Day 2 starts at 10 o'clock today and actually goes until 7 tonight.
Wow.
But yesterday, we got into a lot of breakout rooms, got to meet with a lot of new people. So that was a lot of fun. So usually there's a little bit of a recap kind of at the beginning, but yeah, I want to finish as close to 10 as possible. But the reason that Amy and I talk about what different topics we come on and share about, and this is one where I have people send me messages about, and I've had people, I won't say call out other people, but they're watching out for my groups, my page, my core, whatever. And so it's something that's come up quite a bit. And like Amy said, we just want to come on and present things that we've had happen in our businesses as a way for you to think through what some people call your standard operating procedures, your what's the other word that I've heard it called? SOPs is
Yeah.
one of them.
That's the abbreviation for the standard operating
Yeah,
procedure.
yeah. I think that we talked about this, that sometimes you don't even know what they are until you have something come up, and then you develop
True.
whatever it is.
Yes.
Just like your refund policy, your cancellation policy, any of those things. Sometimes you don't know. So what we want to do is present things that we've had happen that have helped us develop our standing operating procedures to help you to think through what yours should be. And I'll just bring up one of them that I think there's 2 different ways to kind of look at this too. There's your business etiquette on your platforms, your groups, wherever it is. And there's business etiquette as you as a business owner coming into someone else's platform groups. So it's kind
That's
of
a really
two,
good way to explain those two
yeah.
differences. Yeah.
I'm a teacher, so I'm always like trying to break things down so that they
Yeah.
make sense. It's my only kind of linear thinking way of, most of the time I'm kind of all over and, this connects here. But when I'm presenting something, it's usually more linear like that.
Yeah.
So, as far as a business owner, one of the things that I did not know I needed to set as a standard operating procedure didn't happen until just about 6 weeks or so ago. You can tell us in the chat if you are familiar inside of a group where you can have anonymous posting. I had seen that before in other groups. I did not realize that it was a default setting inside of a Facebook group rather than something that you chose. So I didn't realize that I had my groups to allow that. And there was a post that came into one of my groups, and it was it was a little passive aggressive, and it was directed towards me and directed towards what I was presenting inside the group. And you have to take those things and read them and filter them and all that. But I decided to go ahead and turn that anonymous posting off. So I went into all of my groups, and I'm not going to allow that, because for me, and part of my values of my business are community. And it's hard to have a trusting community if you're posting anonymously. So,
Yeah.
and I believe that I'd mentioned this before, and I don't know if the poster realized this, but as an admin of a group, you actually can see the person who's posting. So I don't know if she did it anonymously because she didn't want other people to know she was, you know, derogatory towards what I was presenting, whatever. I don't even remember exactly what the comment was now. Oh, that I was being too salesy in a group. So whatever. So
I was going
I
to say,
ended up
I
having a
remember
lot
it
of my
being me because
numbers.
you talked to me about it. Yeah.
I, I just realized, that was her perception. That's fine. And she left the group. But as an admin, you can see who posts that. But that was just one instance of, I didn't have that standing operating procedure as a thing that I go in and, change in my group, because I didn't really realize that that was how it was, that was the default rather than a chosen, feature that you put in your groups.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what we wanted to talk about a little bit today, is just some different things that we've noticed, some things as a business owner like that, or because most people who are showing up here are business owners, entrepreneurs, and how you show up in other people's spaces. So right now, you're watching as a consumer, but you're watching on a platform, on a space here where we're giving you the opportunity to ask business questions. Most of the time, I would say that you don't want to do that. You don't want to come into somebody else's space and ask specific business related questions on a public platform. Would you say that that's probably true, Amy?
Yeah, for the most part, because it really depends on who is hosting, and what the guidelines are for the page or the group or whatever it is, wherever you're streaming from. So yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Um, and there's so many of us that, we jump in groups. We don't really, I'm guilty too. Like, sometimes you skip over all of the rules and things like that, but you really need to be diligent about, if you want to be active in that community, to know what those are. But as a business owner, like you said, Jamie, it's a learning process, right? We're all learning, we're all growing, and there's going to be some things that come up here and there that it's like, whoa, I didn't even realize that could happen, or that could be a
Yeah.
problem, or maybe I have to adjust something. So another thing with groups, and I can't remember if we've touched on this before in the past or not. I know I have with my own membership, but Facebook now has the chat. So even with
Mhm.
groups that, because I've noticed this with my own, and I actually need to go back and adjust some of them, but even with groups that you've started before Facebook introduced chats in groups, for me anyway, I see them just automatically, like you were saying, Jamie, as a default, like going into the group. So there's, it really depends on what your business is. So there may be, I'm sure that there's some groups that really want to utilize those chats, and there may be some that do not. I personally choose to not. So like I said, there's some that I have to go in through and adjust for myself to take out, shut off that default. um but it, it's it's really up to you to think about as the owner and decide, is this going to be
Right.
a good feature to have or not? And it could be just like, hey, let's try it out and see if it works. And then if it's not conducive to what you're talking about, or what the whole concept is, then just get rid of it, shut the button off.
Yeah,
um
no, that's good. Sometimes you don't know until it, yeah. I've a couple of different things you were kind of talking about there. I think that I've turned off all the chats in mine too, and only because I don't want someone to feel excluded if they aren't in the chat. I
yeah,
don't want there to be information, especially if it's like a pay, like my course runs through a Facebook group that is only for the members who are taking the course. I wouldn't want there to be a separate chat where it would be distracting away from the content. So I think that
yeah,
anytime that you come into somebody else's space, and I think that's where a lot more of the etiquette kind of stuff is, just thinking about when you're coming into somebody else's business space, whether it's a
yeah,
physical
I agree.
space, yeah, that you just
Yeah,
kind of have to think about it. Would you want them to do that if they walked into your space?
yes,
You
very
know,
good perspective to have.
would you want someone to put a link, I'll say an Amazon link, on your business page that could potentially be an affiliate link? No, because that's promoting something, and especially like I have an Amazon page. I don't allow people to put Amazon links because I don't know whether they're affiliate links or not in any of my groups, on my pages, or anything like that, because it comes across as it could be self promotion.
Yeah,
If there's any kind of connection to being paid for anything, don't put that in somebody else's business space, right? Like Kroger wouldn't, or wherever, any kind of grocery, whatever. I'm trying to think of something that is universal to people. McDonald's would not allow somebody to come in and put a Wendy's hamburger on the table and say, well, this tastes really good and I like this, and
yeah,
then they sell that Wendy's hamburger inside. You know what I mean? So think about when you're coming into somebody else's business space, you can't, you can't. I'd say that that's one of the can'ts, not, you can't self promote anything that would come across as you being paid for something that they potentially offer, or that could take away that's just bad etiquette.
yeah. So
So,
right. The thing that comes to mind for me, the word, right, is kind of the umbrella for this whole conversation right now, for me anyway, is poaching, right? So we
yeah,
need to uh understand what that word is and make sure that we are not doing that. Now
yeah,
because you wouldn't want that done to you in your followers or your members or whatever it is that you've worked so hard to build. um, there's specific instances, like I do have one group that's living artists group, where I allow them to put their pieces in there to show them. They
Mhm.
can even have a link to their business page, or they can put a price on it, whatever they want. So there's different there's different settings for things
Yeah,
like that.
different guidelines, and
Yeah,
you need to know what those are. Like, what is that phrase that says, like, ignorance of the law is no excuse? Like, it's not an excuse that you don't know what the guidelines are when you come into somebody else's space. Maybe the first time and the admin could reach out to you, but there's usually some place where that's all listed and you could go in there. Do they allow links? Do they allow business pages? I do that in one group, but not the other,
yeah,
because it's
right.
more business related and the other one's not. And so you have to figure out what the guidelines are.
Yeah,
I will say too that anytime you come into, I'm a part of a large membership, and I know that the guidelines are not to share anything from your personal profile into that group. There are a couple of different reasons for that, but if you're in this particular group is one that is for business owners, even if it's your personal profile and you're sharing something in, if it's a reel, those were getting monetized. If now it's for the performance bonus, those are getting monetized. And if you share it into that group, you may not even be thinking about it, but that comes across as self-promotion. And sometimes the bigger groups, they can't monitor all of that. So it may seem like it's allowed, and you can go in and report posts, I guess, if you want to be that kind of person. But if you think about it, it's just not good etiquette to come in and share anything from outside into a group where you're not the admin. It messes up a lot of different things beyond the self promotion, but you can't monitor. Somebody wants to come in and show a video that you haven't, vetted, right? That you haven't watched first. It's the same kind of thing. You can't show this video that might be, it might be obscene. It might be, whatever. If you haven't watched it first and then you're allowing somebody to walk in and like show it in your business space, and then you realize, whoa, wait a second. It's like you're allowing it, or you're promoting it, or you're saying that it's okay,
yeah.
you know.
Tony said she's encountered this type of stuff
Oh,
lately.
yeah, lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. And we do have a post inside of my CBOB group, which is my creative business owner group. And that is a more private space. So there is a post. If you have other questions that you don't want to share here publicly and you want to, still talk about them over there, we can kind of continue the conversation since we're having a shorter one here today. Amy, did you share the video into your group?
I know that I put the event in there,
Okay. I
but
just shared it into CBOB. Just people get the notification for that, and yeah. So, oh, Angel brought up one here I want to mention too. She said, I appreciate it when people come to my business page. So it's her store, right? Her platform, her as their personal profile instead of their business profile. I know that used to be a lot easier to do, and you could just toggle back and forth on the specific post, and now you can't do that. So here's the other thing that I would say. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I would definitely prefer for people to interact on my business page as themselves rather than the page too. Sometimes it's hard for me to comment back when I don't know, because I don't have their business name connected in my head with their profile. But I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So if they come and they show up as their business page, unless they're doing it repeatedly, because I know that it's difficult to switch back and forth.
Yeah.
So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt on links that they share in, or so I may just, and I think there's a way that you can do that inside of a group. Like if they do it once, you
Yeah.
can give them like a warning, but if they continue to do it, which I've had to put post approval on in some of my groups for
Oh,
certain members where they
yeah.
kept sharing their YouTube channel. They kept
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
their business page,
Yeah.
delete,
I
hide.
haven't had to turn that on yet,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. Um, because yeah, I mean, if you have to, you have to.
Yeah.
But I would suggest, don't until you have to.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I did, and
yeah,
I messaged the person, but, since we're not friends, maybe that doesn't get seen, whatever. So I allowed it a couple of times, but I messaged them every time. Then I started deleting them, and finally I just had to put it on post approval. And I don't know positively how long that lasts. So, yeah. So but yeah, I agree, Angel. And I see a couple of different people saying some of that too, because it sometimes you don't know until you comment, like which, it's hard to see the little picture. And especially if your profile photo and your business photo are similar. And yeah, so I know that it is. So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it depends on where you are too, if you're able to post as a business page or your
yeah.
profile. So
I mean, it's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like a touchy subject right there because yeah, you want to grow your business page and I post as my business page on other business pages. I do it myself, but within reason. And I know there's a lot of conversation going on here in the chat too where you all are right. It sometimes is difficult because of
mhm.
Facebook having, you got to go and change from profile to page and switch over. So yes, I as well always give the benefit of the doubt as well. And when I'm posting as my business page, I'm not dropping in links. I'm not saying, hey, come over to my business page and check me out. I'm just joining in the conversation. Like we have talked numerous times before on coffee chats about how to do that, like in groups and things. That's another topic. But yeah, I think that it kind of comes down to common sense, right? So we have to have common sense when we are posting, and we also need to, hopefully, you're like us as well, where you give people the benefit of the doubt. But if it does happen numerous times, then you might
Right.
want
That's
to,
when, yeah, you can't allow for the grace.
yeah,
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 if it's repeated, that there's underlying, yeah, reasons.
yeah,
So, yeah, I saw where Debbie asked about the post approval, and then Diana said it's underneath the settings.
yeah.
So, yeah. And I know there are several people. I think Diana is in here as her business page, but you can see where hers actually has her name in there. And that's the other reason that I really like people to post as themselves so that I kind of know who I'm talking to if I don't know their business name. So, yeah. Yeah, I want to engage with them as friends, as people. So, yeah. The other thing that I will say is I had somebody I saw somebody post about, well, I don't think it's a good idea if you tag another business in your post. And I thought, okay, well, number one, you just kind of need to keep your focus on your stuff. Like, why are you, I think some people get too focused on other people's stuff. But I completely believe in collaboration. So there are certain times where I will allow people to put a link in the comments for something that they are selling
Mhm.
if we're working in a collaborative kind of way. And that can be a whole lot of different things. It can be an affiliate relationship, it can be a bartering kind of a relationship. You don't know that. So sometimes that's hard too. So if I say I don't allow links, but then somebody comes in and says, well, I see somebody's putting links in there, that must mean that it's okay, when they don't know that there's, some So there's kind of that gray area, I guess, sometimes too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but tagging venues, I think that you're working with, tagging other businesses for you, galleries probably, you
Yeah.
know, different. I think that that's a great way to support each other without you're you're I mean, I am kind of saying, "Hey, go support them, go buy
Yeah.
their stuff,
Yeah.
go I'm working with them." But
I'll
it's
do
still
that with
yeah.
some of my paintings that are displayed at local businesses. For instance,
Yeah.
I follow I follow those business pages who are supporting me by hanging my pieces in their shops. I will go and follow their business pages, and I'll comment on their postings, and support them that way as well. But I'll make sure that my comment is relevant to what their posting is,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not just going to go and say, "Hey, oh my gosh, you got to get in there and go check out all the artwork. My artwork's in here. My artwork's in here." I don't. I'm not doing that. I'm just supporting, what they're saying. But on my end with my stuff, I will say, "Hey, have you gone to Picnic Rock lately? They have some of my paintings displayed there.
Right.
I love to purchase their XYZ. They sell organic things, and so I'll talk a little bit about what I purchase at their place as well. So I just gotta kind of really have common sense. It's just kind of boils down to that.
I think a lot of it is, and just thinking about it a little bit more, and things happen and you forget, and whatever. And I've had different people come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think about it that way." If I reach out to them, or they'll, I can take the post down. And there have been times when I will say that would be great if you could go ahead and do that, because I don't want to set a precedent
Yeah.
of that being okay.
Yep.
So, and I think that's a big thing too. So I've had to come into some of my groups and and talk about why I didn't allow that, why I did, and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just showing up. So
Yeah.
well, we're right at 10 o'clock, and I did want to go over to my event. So I apologize for cutting it a little bit shorter than we normally do, but I will go back in the comments. So if you have any particular instances where you're not sure, if you wanted to kind of talk through it, you can put it in here. Or Amy and I both have a group where if you wanted to come in and talk a little bit more privately about, something. And I'm sure even if it's more private, we would both allow, conversation in a private chat or something if it was something you wanted to go through. Not that we have it all figured out, because like
Right.
Amy said, it's a process. Sometimes you have to figure it out as
Yeah.
you're going through it, but having as many people kind of present situations to you to get you thinking about what you will allow, what you won't, why you will allow links. I mean, I do that in some of my groups, like, okay, this is the post where you can share your links, or,
Yeah.
I've definitely had some things like that. I did want to mention one that I had come up in my course that I finished last month. There was somebody on a Zoom, and she was offering something, and somebody else started talking about, she wasn't, but somebody else on the Zoom was, "Oh, what she has, it's great." And they were going on. And I let them talk for a couple of minutes, and I said, "You know what? I am going to make a post in the course for everyone to share what they're offering." Because I didn't want it to be, like I was playing favorites or allowing that person
Yeah.
to promote, because you don't know behind the scenes, whatever.
Right.
So that was how I solved that too, to make it here. Everybody can present their offer. And so,
Yeah, that was a good way to nip that in the bud right off. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I want to support people, but I don't want it to seem like I'm playing favorites that just one person gets that support.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm drinking lots of tea, lots of water, and Yeah, maybe I'll even try some coffee later. So, well, very good, you guys. Well, thanks for popping on today. And if you have any ideas for our next topic, which will be in 2 weeks on Amy's page, you can go ahead and put them in the comments here, and we'll look through and usually decide in a week or so what the topic's going to be for the next one. So, very good. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
See you later.